and welcome to MS4. And today I'm going to be answering that age-old question, how do I get color to read on my hooded eyes? Now, this question was posed to me by my friend Becca. So Becca, this one's for you. I feel like that with color, we're fighting against a couple of different issues. One is that cultural ideal of the almond-shaped wide-set eye, that everyone should be looking for that. Also that you should have lots of real estate on your eyes so you can display your color so it's very visible. And then the second issue is that you're not really a static being. How you want your color to read depends on what you're doing. So if you are shooting video or you're live and in person and you're blinking at a regular rate of a non-psychopath or a non-person with dry eyes, other people are going to be able to read your color because you're blinking and showing that off. But if you're taking pictures or if you're wanting to enjoy your color, you're not really going to see it as much if you have hooded eyes and you're going along with some of the norms of eyeshadow and makeup application because your eyes are open, and so you're only seeing a very small bit of real estate that your color can be shown on when you're seeing it, when you're looking at it, or when you're taking a picture. So I think that's the things that we're up against, is that idea of that there's a norm that we're trying to make for an eye shape, and therefore we apply color in relation to that, and that we are trying to enjoy color ourselves, and we can't see that if we're looking at it, or we also don't see it as much in a picture if we're using those regular ideas of application. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit further. So the idea is that there's a spectrum and duality of eye shape and placement and such. So you've got a round shaped eye, and on the other side an almond shaped eye. You've got a hooded lid where your upper lid hangs over your movable lid, so you don't really see much of your movable lid. And we also have more of the monolid, where you don't have a lot of difference between the movable lid and the upper lid, so it all looks kind of like it's one large lid. And then you've got downturned eyes or upturned eyes, and again, these things read differently. As I'm getting older, this eye especially is getting more downturn. So if I follow my natural lash line, I end up looking very sleepy. So I've had to try to adjust the way I apply my eyeliner to make it look more upturned and therefore more enthusiastic and awake. And then you also have deep set eyes that are further back in the skull and more protruding eyes. And then there's the close set versus wide set. So again, in the Western ideal, we're always looking for the almond shaped wide set eye, which is silly. You have the eye shape that you have. And for us, we just need to talk about where's your visible real estate? Like if I have an open eye like this, what parts show where I'd want to place color so I could enjoy it or so I could read as far as on pictures. So I made a flip chart. So now, excuse the crudity of this drawing. I think it's better for us to start thinking about our eyes in two dimensions. Because if you're wanting to reshape your eye, you can use contour to make a crease. You can use light and dark to change whether it's more protruding or inset. And I always feel like we should all be able to learn at the feet of the drag queens, because they have excellent ability to reshape the face and the eyes for a more dramatic look, for a more on the stage look. And then we just drop that down about 8 notches, and that makes a daily look for us. But they really have a lot of know-how as far as the shaping and contouring and restructuring of things to create different looks. But for us, if we fall into the hooded eyes or to the monolid eyes, I would suggest starting to think of your eyes as two-dimensional. Okay, so you can do things to try and re-sculpt the eyes, and we will go through that in some of them, to make a crease, to change where the crease is. But for us, if we're talking about an open eye and either small movable lids or this part of our eye that hangs over to make a hooded lid, if we're wanting to show color, we're really talking about that in two dimensions. We can try and create a rounded look by placing lighter shades here and darker shades here, but for showing color, we're going to be thinking about where our real estate is for color. So in a hooded eye, your real estate for color is here right along the lash line and is on the upper non-movable lid. Okay, so that's the thing to start out with first. Now, there's a couple of different possibilities for this. And finding products that are bold color with good pigment read and longevity is important, because you want something that's going to set down and not transfer, because if you're putting something on your movable lid and you have hooded eyes, oftentimes that, if it's sticky or tacky or wet, can transfer right up. So the first kind of a thing that I'm going to talk about here is a bold liner with a wash of color. So doing the greens, that's what I'm wearing today. You've got a color liner that reads as a bold color. And that doesn't mean that it needs to be neon, day glow, whatever. It just needs to have a very lighter pigment color read. And then all the way up, you're taking a light wash of a color that is complementary to this or in the same color family, and just washing that all the way up. So you've got this mirroring lighter color read in the upper non-movable lid, and then you've got this liner, a thicker, bolder colored liner that is creating that first pow of color and then the soft upper color of that. So bold liner with a soft wash of color. And then next, we're getting into more graphic styles. And the more graphic you get, the more you've got to own your desire for color payoff. If you are, just kicking about with some sweats and you have the Glamazon eye look, maybe that doesn't fit. But if you're matching it with the rest of your aesthetic, you can be as glam or as colorful as you like. This one is a double color liner, and you can do different colors of liner, but I like the dual liner look because you can make this go along with your bottom lash line, and you can shape that so you can change the shaping of your eye or the way your eye looks by this. And then you've got the possibility on your upper eye for a liner like that, and you don't necessarily need to do a lot of other color. You can do a light wash of color, you could do a light wash of a more shimmery color here, but the real focus is the liner and the colored liners. This was the first step in like the Cleopatra looking eye. Right now they've gone through the cat eye look. They've gone through the fox eye, which is a straighter sort of a look. The cat eye is a more pulled up look. And then the Cleopatra look is more of this graphic liner, in either a two liner situation. And you can also take like sparkling shadow and go along those lines just for more glam. But the idea is to choose colors that read, that can add this kind of a graphic look to it. And then moving on from that, a graduation of color. Here we have, this is more in your, like a sunset sort of an eye. You've got the reds that go into the oranges that go into the yellows. And so rather than the idea of you're doing dark, light, dark to make a rounded shadow, you're making a gradient. So your darkest shade is here on the lid, on the movable lid, and then you're just washing that up, and using different colors in that same kind of, you could do a rainbow if you wanted to. But in this case, it's a gradient sort of an idea. Now, I always suggest that some of the colors, if you're wanting to use them, can make you look sickly or weird. So if you're feeling like you want to use a red, but it makes you kind of wash out and look sick, to take a dark liner and do a tight line along your lash line, or I don't myself use liner in the waterline because my eyes congest really easily. I had to have a Chalasian removed at one point in time, so I do not use liner in the waterline. But you can get really close to your lash line, or very thin dark liner, so you're giving it a foothold for the color, but it also, it'll pop more because it has that black or that dark liner with it, and it'll keep you a little bit from looking sickly related to that. But this is the idea of gradation, or you can rainbow it if you want a more specific like rainbow effect. So that's a nice way, is graduated color. Now this is the idea of creating a different cut crease with your color. The idea that perhaps all of your color real estate is actually on the inside towards your nasal area. So this is where your real estate is. You can recreate a cut crease with a color to it, and then just have a wash of color around it. And you can also use a different color underneath the eye. Now, I saw Angelica doing a great version of this with the Colourpop in the Palms palette. Looked really fun, nice and summery. But the idea is, if this is your real estate, you can do a lot of things here. You can do bold sparkly looks, you can do metallic looks, and also if you have a hooded eye and you're wanting to recreate the idea of a crease when you don't have one, you can use a color to make a bold artistic sort of cut crease. So you're not trying to resculpt it with a contour color or anything like that. You're just saying, I am going to be making this that looks kind of like a crease, but it's actually just the color read, the art. So I'll try and link Angelica's. She is a great one to watch as far as how to wear bold color. But I think this is at least interesting. You can get the idea of it here. The idea of making that colored cut crease and then making other shadows or colors in liner that will make an interesting color story and will pop next to each other. So that's an idea, the cut crease with other colors. And then we have the sparkly metallic, where the idea of light and dark, metallic shadows, things that really sing as far as that sparkle, where they're going to hit the light. You can get metallic liners, you can get metallic shadows. There's a lot of great silver and golds, and then like rose gold if you want to do that. But the idea is just doing that sparkle. And then you can do either a light liner, or you can just do all shimmer. But the shimmers read, they're not a color, but they read as an interesting eye look, that then if you wanted to do a wash of color behind them, then that would make that color read more, because you're getting that light refraction first, you're getting the attention, and then the secondary is the color read. So metallics and sparklies are awfully fun to play with. And they do give you that pop. And then you can go over them with color, you can do color to the side of them, but it really makes for an interesting eye look, captivating things. Now, I apologize for the Eye of Sauron look here, but this is the idea of using a colored mascara. Now, you'd want to use a white primer for the mascara to show up as much, because sometimes if you use a colored mascara but you're putting it on your dark lashes, it's not going to read as much, which sometimes maybe you do want that. You just want a very hint of color to it, and so you're going to add the colored mascara. Other times you really want that color to show. So CoverGirl has a white mascara primer that you can use. So if you use that one and coat your lashes nicely and then do your colored mascara over it, you can get a more color payoff read. So that's one way to use your unexpected liner colors or mascara. And I just wanted to show you, as far as if you're wanting to start at a more subtle level for your liner colors, this one happens to be a Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Walk of No Shame. And you can get this, she has little tiny sets over the holidays that you can have, like a try me of a lipstick, a lip liner, lip glosses. The collagen lip baths also come in minis. But the nice thing about the Walk of No Shame is it's a red based kind of brownie red. And I'm gonna swatch this for you. Okay, so you can start in with this kind of a color. So you're just experimenting, because I find like this sort of a color looks fairly good on a lot of different people because it's more of a brown based red, and it's a deeper red. So you can start out with experimenting with these kind of liners. She also has like the Pillow Talk eyeliner, and that's more on the plum based. And NYX has tons of really great colors that you can experiment with to see if you can find a colored liner that you can play with, because these end up looking just very nice, like so it's a more elegant read of color. And then if you find that you're getting comfortable with that, then you can move on to the more bright colors, the more opaque neon perhaps liners, and color stories. That way you can get used to it. But I find that these are a good like baby step, is a really kind of a posh looking colored liner that you can experiment and see if it really is for you, playing with color of this type. Now my look today, I'm going to show you. So I am doing all Colourpop today with a liner from Laura Geller in Emerald, but I'm wearing the Child palette. Now for my eye look, like I said, because my eyes, if I follow my natural lash line, tend to be droopy, I started my lining on my bottom line and followed it, and then kept going with the wing in the same shape that my lower lash line was going. So I ended up with a little bit of a cat eye, but it was coming up like if I were going to say this was the eye, I'm traveling along this line and just following it up this way, and here is my eyebrow. So I'm like meeting, the idea is if I were to continue the trajectory, I would meet the end of my eyebrow. So I'm following this line, and so I'm therefore getting a natural cat eye going up. So if I were following this natural lash line going down, it would be this way. It would be pulling my eyes down. So I went up towards my eyebrow, gave myself a little bit of a wing going this way. Had a little bit of a darker read here. Did a wash of one color all over my eye. And then I gave myself a little bit of sparkle on my tear duct area. Now I have to watch that, because what I have found out is that if I'm on Zoom and I've put too much sparkling on my tear duct, I look like I'm crying when I put my head down like that to read a note or something. So for the most part, you need to have different, film yourself, take some video of yourself with your makeup and see how your color reads, and move your head around and see if anything weird's going on, because I really don't want people in my Zoom calls to think that I've been crying. So this is the look today, and the baby face is the green that's all over my eye, and then I have a floater crib in the side, and then the Precious Cargo. This one is the color that's in my inner tear duct area. So we've got this one, and this one. And I find that Colourpop's a great way to experiment with color because they have lots of great pigments in some really bold colors to play with, but they won't break the bank. And some of the palettes you can get have lots of different colors to play with, or you can get their singles, but it's a lot of bold color to play with, not a lot of outlay of money, and they're quality shadows, so you really won't, for the most part. Every once in a while some of their palettes are a little hard pressed or iffy, and sometimes those are the only for Ulta ones, but for the most part they're really high quality pigments and shadows, and you can play with those, and that way you can play with color, see if you're enjoying it, and it won't break the bank. And that way, if after playing with all this you decide really you're just a basic B and you want some nice brown shadows, that's okay. But this way you've gotten to play with color and to find out if it's something that you really would enjoy. So just to encourage you to play with color, it's fun. It should be fun. And you can do a lot of things as far as reshaping and playing with your eye and really embracing the real estate God gave you, because it's one of those things that we don't need to be a slave to this idea that there's only one way to apply makeup, there's only one way to enjoy color, and it really should fit with your face and your eye shape and how you like to wear your color, but that shouldn't keep you from playing. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you will embrace some playing with color, and I hope to see you in my next video. Have a great day and enjoy color. Bye-bye.